thank you for coming. Let me introduce myself. My name is Valerie Cook. I'm the director of the Bibb County Chamber of Commerce based here in Centerville. Some of you I've met tonight for the first time, so that's exciting, but that is the whole point behind this meeting, is because we have so many new faces among our elected officials. It takes a lot, in my opinion, for a person to put themselves out there to run for a position of leadership like this, and not everyone is called for that, but, and again, in my opinion, you're a public servant. So thank you for wanting to put yourself out there to serve your neighbors, to serve your neighborhood, to serve your county. That really means a lot to me, and I'm sure it does to many others as well. So I would like to ask our Chamber Board Chairman to come forward in a moment to address us, but also after that we'll have our mayors come forward to talk about their cities, and please introduce your council members. If the council members want to speak and just have a few words to say, or even tell your neighborhood what part you cover, you're welcome to. Our commissioners, several of them are here tonight. Our county administrator can tell us the happenings and new things going on in our beautiful Bibb County. So, and then Dwayne McGee, our school superintendent, has some updates for us. And Russell Bedsole, our new representative, has some updates for us concerning our area. So first I'll ask Joseph Marchant to come forward on behalf of the Chamber.
Again, thank you, Valerie, and I think you did a good job of pointing out just all those represented. Anytime you can get cities, county governments, just elected officials, school board representatives, new board members, newly elected people together in one room. It's interesting times. We appreciate you during this challenge with COVID being willing to come and talk about the important things that you all have planned for your various entities, whether it's cities, counties, school boards. It's all important to the growth. I've had an opportunity to travel the state, and I think alignment is a word that I always use in these meetings. You know, I think anytime our cities and county governments and our leaders can be aligned, we can really achieve more. Those communities that are doing well and are progressive, that's really what they do a good job of, is getting people to work together and kind of come together and commonly align around certain goals. So thank you all for attending tonight, and we look forward to hearing from, and I don't know if you have a certain order that you've got everybody planned to go in, but who did you have first?
We can start with our mayors.
Yeah.
We'll start small and then we'll work big and ask Russell to close us since he's got the most square footage mileage.
Yeah, sure. So we'll just turn it on. Mike, you want to lead off for us? Is that okay with the city of Centerville? Thank you.
Mike, if you'll stand back there in the light, we don't have much light in there, so.
Is that better? FYI, this is being recorded, but it's not hot.
Yeah, that's much better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
First, on behalf of the city of Centerville, I'd like to welcome y'all to Centerville in this beautiful facility that my old classmate and one of my oldest friends has created out of a once beautiful house that it was about to ruin. But thank y'all so much for being here. And when Valerie, proposed this idea, I was excited because we really, what's good for, I've said it before, it's good for Centerville, it's good for Woodstock and West Blockton and Barnett. And we all need to be, a rising tide floats all boats, and we all need to be on the same page and talking with each other and doing good things together with the help of a newly elected. We've got a really good county commission now on board, and great things are going to happen in our county. It's already happening. I don't know if any of y'all have been paying attention to the housing market. Our son is buying a house, and I had no idea that, in the old days, if you were looking at a house, you could make an offer on it. I'm preaching to the choir over there with Mr. Owens. But now, if you're not prepared to pay for the asking price, you're not going to get that house. It is crazy. What's happening is people from bigger cities are moving to rural areas. And so it's incumbent on us as rural areas, to have things in place to capture them. And that's one of the guiding principles that we've talked about with the city of Centerville. I mentioned in my campaign that I wanted to start with the Take Pride in Centerville campaign. And part of that is cleaning up streets, cleaning up roads, making not only uptown, the historic uptown area nice, and we've got a great historical preservation committee that is on the ball doing that. They gave a good presentation the other day to Chamber Coffee, and David Daniels, I don't guess David's here, or Christian Sanford, Mike's here, but we had it at the old Presbyterian Church uptown, which is itself a historic building, and we really want to make, when you drive in our town, we want to make it a place where people go, I'd like to live here, kind of like watching a Hallmark movie. You know, you see those places and you go, good Lord, that looks fun. That's what I want people to think of, you know, when they come into Centerville. Some of the plans, you know, kind of long range, but short range too, is I want to have a splash pad here in Centerville. We need something. We've got, let me say this first, we got a world-class ballpark facility that brings in hundreds of visitors per year, y'all. They eat our food, they buy our gas, they, you know, and with very little negative. You know, the trash they leave, unfortunately, is mostly at the ballpark. You know, and that we get that cleaned up. But we got a ballpark that's second to none. Secondly, we got the Cahava River, and it runs through just about all of our cities. And more people are using the Cahava River in positive ways, whether it's kayaking, tubing. We've got the hospital doing in fact, I checked today on a canoe launch grant that we're trying to get to upgrade the canoe launch that they work so hard to get. And the golf course, y'all, I don't know if y'all have been to Cahava Falls Country Club. It was voted top 25 golf courses in America. I mean, in Alabama, by the Birmingham Business Journal just a few months ago. Phenomenal feather in the cap of Centerville. And I'm not saying Centerville because I'm here representing Centerville, but y'all know I love our whole county too. I like to have that splash pad in place, hopefully by warm months. Y'all, the city of Coley has a splash pad. Their city budget is $600,000 a year. And I talked to the city clerk, and then with the help of ADECA and matching funds, which were not much, they got that done, and it's paying for itself. They've got adjacent facilities, gazebo, another little thing that they rent out for birthday parties, and they can use it both. She said, phenomenally, it's paying for itself. That's Coaling, Alabama. Nothing against Coaling, Alabama, but I mean, we're about twice the size of Coaling, Alabama, if not more. And we've got some help with some local people that are doing some development now on the splash pad idea, and they've already offered to donate the land if we put it there. Y'all know that we've got a Christmas parade and a celebration on the square coming up. Christmas parade is 6 o'clock, December the 11th. And already we've had about 35, 36 entries, which makes it one of the biggest ones we've ever had. Last year, they talked about it was one of the best ones that's ever been. It's the Brent Centerville parade, actually. But we're excited to have that. The next day, we'll have the celebration on the square. We have food trucks, vendors, and Valerie may talk more about that in a minute. Anyway, what we're doing is trying to draw people uptown. Tomorrow, you'll see Christmas decorations going up throughout the city of Centerville, city limits and uptown, and we're going to make it really festive. Talked to the city crew today, and I said, y'all are responsible for putting Christmas in the hearts of folks that otherwise might not even know us here. When you drive into a place and you have beautiful decorations, it kind of puts you in a little different mentality of Christmas. And we all know the real meaning of Christmas is the birth of Jesus. But it never hurts to have decorations and festivities going on too. Hold on, I made a few entries. We're visited tonight by a guy that, you know, whether it comes to fruition or not, and I can't say everything, but, you know, talking about, you know, really investing. There's investors looking at this area because of our location, y'all, between, you know, Montgomery, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa. It's a great location, and you drive through here to go to Tuscaloosa or Montgomery. You know, just about everybody has to come through here. There's some subdivisions being planned here, you know, and that's going to be pretty phenomenal if that happens. Joseph and I were talking earlier, you need rooftops. You know, you need rooftops, you need good families, and you need families that are going to make a positive impact in your community. Gosh, y'all. I think I said my campaign promise was take pride in Centerville. And we each are our own best salespeople from our cities. So often, you know, you go somewhere and you hear people say, "Where are you from?" And they'll say, "I'm from Willapota, a place that you've never heard of." You know, instead of that kind of mindset, say, "Hey, I'm from Centerville, Alabama. You ought to come see us sometime." It's a total difference. Anyway, thank y'all for coming. One person I want to welcome y'all is my replacement on the school board, Camille Gibson, and y'all will see her. Some of y'all know her, some of you don't. But I spent 23 wonderful years representing this area on the Board of Education. It was literally one of the most impactful things that I've done in my life. And I was going in as president this year, ran for mayor, had to resign from the school board, but I want to tell Camille that I'm proud of her for stepping up, because that's not an easy thing to do when you, as Valerie said, when you put yourself out there in the public eye and you represent people. It's different when you're sitting up there behind that desk making decisions than it is when you're out there watching on Facebook making anonymous comments. And it takes brave people, it takes courageous people, and people that are willing to do the right thing. And I know Camille will. And Dwayne, I've loved working with you. Where's Dwayne? He's back there. I've loved working with you the past few years. He was my third or fourth superintendent that I worked with. And he's literally, you know, everybody knows how smart Dwayne is and how caring he is for the entire county. And that's all I've got, y'all. Thank y'all for being here tonight so much. And let's try to make this more than an annual event.
Will you tell us who your councilman is?
Golly.
Will you introduce your councilman? You guys did one.
We just got through with our meeting. Diane Epperson, people that came through schools here. You Miss Diane, she worked at schools for, I'm not even gonna say how long. A few years. She was everybody's favorite mama. I mean, she babied our kids, I know, and they love her like family. And Linda Lawrence, Linda. And Mike Nichols, y'all know Mike, everybody still calls him Chief. Even the police chief calls him Chief. It's the funniest thing. But y'all, they're threesome, you know, part. We got two more, Kenny Hicks and Don Macker on the city council. And we've all met, we talk, we stay close, and you know, we let people know each other know what's going on. And so we're determined to work to go together as a team. And we're here for y'all. I mean, it's, you know, when you put yourself out for somebody to vote for you, you're in public service, whether they voted for you or not, you still represent them. And I'm looking forward to it. Thank y'all so much.
I want to take a moment and introduce and recognize several of my chamber board members that are here this evening. Joseph Marchant is our chairman. Nikki May serves on the chamber board. Jim Oakley, where'd he go? Right in front. And Melissa Thompson is also here with us. She serves with Save a Life here for Brent and Centerville. And I feel like I'm missing some others. Mike was on the chamber board for so many years, so thank you for your service. Mayor White, will you come forward and introduce your council and tell us about the good things going forward in Brent?
Good evening. I'm Bobby White. I'm the mayor of Brent. I'd like to introduce my council members at this time. I'd like to stand, if you will, please, when I call your name. Barbara Morrison, Dr. Jerry Conway, Mr. Tom Owens, and Mr. Chad Jones. This is the best council in the world. Like I said, I bring you greetings from Brent. It's a pleasure to be here amongst friends this evening. I couldn't wait till this time come. I was kind of fussing about it because of the weather, because I don't like cold weather, but I said I got to go and represent the city of Brent. I'm not going to talk as much as Mike did this evening. I'm going to tell you about what we have going on in Brent. We have a Dollar General that's coming on Highway 5 in Brent next to Ricky Hubbard's building. And I want Senator to know that we have been with you all the year, a couple of years, going to your Dollar General. I want you all to come to Brent and spend your money, but also, you all know that. Also, we have a boutique that's coming to Brent. It will be next to Ashley's Renew Therapy. And also we have a urgent care that's coming to Brent. It's been put on hold because of the COVID, but once that goes away, we're looking for that to come, and that can help all of us. So, with that being said, that's all I'm going to say. I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because I might not get a chance to see you all then, but I want to go ahead and say it now. And may God forever bless each and all of you, is my prayer for you.
Let me take a moment to recognize an elected official who doesn't want to speak, but this is a job that not everybody would be called for. We have a new coroner for the county, C.W. West, who works and serves with Rocco's Funeral Home. Thank you, C.W., for being here tonight. Again, that's not a job that everyone is cut out for, but he feels that it's his calling, so we recognize him and thank him for his service. Derek Reeves, as our county administrator, will you come forward and introduce the commissioners that are here and tell us what's going on?
We've got 2 brand new commissioners on in the county this year. Jeremy Lightsey is District 1, and Matt Downs is District 3. We also have Rodney Stabler from District 5 that was re-elected, and we're so thankful for that. Rodney works hard for this county, not just his district, but for the whole county. He was going to be here tonight, but he had surgery a couple weeks ago, and he gets out in the day, so he has to kind of slow down at night. So, but he wanted me to tell everyone thank you for supporting him, and like I said, he's an asset to our county. We've got a few things that are kind of going on in the Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I was naming the ones that were elected. But yeah, Mr. Goodell is here, and Mr. Kelly in the north end, and yeah, that's all. So, but anyway, we got a few things going on in the county. Up in the industrial park, at the last commission meeting, we approved the bids for the Bibb Road improvements up there. That'll help with the traffic coming into the battery plant, and also help for that road, for people that live on that road coming in and out. Hopefully in the next couple of commission meetings, we'll award the bid on the new water tank in the park. That's going to be a big help to those businesses in the park, and it's also going to be an asset to Green Pond Water System. So we're thankful for that and for the grant money that's going to pay for it. Up near Briarfield area, and I know what y'all think I'm going to say, but I'm not going to talk about that. But we got CMEX is up there, and there's came in this last year, and the IDA worked with them, and they've set up a little plant at the edge of the quarry. They use the stuff that the quarry can't use, that they're going to dispose of. They use that and make a crush, like for roads and things. And after this first year, they're going to kind of see what their production can be, and then build a permanent plant. But they're looking to be good community neighbors and get involved with the schools, and we're very thankful that they've chosen Bibb County to come to. Around the square, biggest news up there is our new probate annex, courthouse annex. It's probate, we call it stakes. but it's the probate, tax assessor, and registrar, and it's a beautiful building. And they're landscaping now, and the landscape is just as pretty as the building is. So we're very happy and very proud of it. Once they get it all finished, I know Stephanie's got a big open house planned and all this, so everybody can come in and see just how pretty it is. But and then several have mentioned we've got weekend after next. We got Christmas on the Square and Christmas parades, and for Centerville and West Blockton, it's going to be a think y'all named it Christmas on the Cahava. It'll just be a real big weekend, and we want everybody to spread the word, especially for the square. We've got a lot of vendors coming out. We'll have food trucks and car shows and people on the stage singing all day, all afternoon. And, it's just going to be a great time to come out with your families. So we hope to see y'all there, and I appreciate y'all having us. Thanks, Valerie.
A new face that many of you may not have met yet is a councilwoman from West Blockton, Miss Holly Barnett. Can I ask you to come forward and bring us greetings from West Blockton? And she has a neat story. We talk about we need rooftops, we need new people coming into Bibb County. Maybe she can tell us just a little bit about her story, because she's someone that has moved here from a little bit of outside the way. So please come forward and tell us the great things. Have y'all been to Blockton lately and seen everything that's going on? The farmer's market, and just the cleanup and the decorations. Daniel Sims, as mayor, is doing fabulous. So please come forward and tell us about Blockton.
Yeah. Daniel is our mayor, Daniel Sims, and he apologized. He had a prior engagement this afternoon or this evening, so he couldn't make it. But I did get some notes from him just to make sure. So the city of West Blockton is the Mayor Daniel Sims, myself, Kristen Nash, our city council women, are two newly elected, and then we have Fred Lynch and Chris McMinn and Jeremy, help me. Glenn Johnson. Sorry. So this is the first time that West Blockton has ever had two women on the city council, and we are very excited about that. We're also moving forward, and we are excited that we have partnered with Bibb Medical Center and opened up a new facility to have our residents have somewhere to have a medical facility. So we're very excited. It's beautiful. If you have not been there, please go by. If you need a doctor, if you need a nurse practitioner, if you need, and the great thing about this is they are going to your house. Is that correct? Yes. And I had the opportunity last week to tour the facility. I did not get to see it previously when it was built in the 60s or 70s is what we talked about. But it is absolutely gorgeous, and I will no longer be going to Bessemer to see my medical physician. So West Blockton also, we had a city council meeting 2 weeks ago, and we approved our budget. We are making great stride and changes in our water and sewer system, and we are actually making a profit this year, and we're going to save, hold on, this one, I'm sorry, 30, maybe it was more than that. We are saving, he quoted, $30,000 annually by finalizing a new bond, and that is going to help the city of West Blockton. If you haven't been to the Coke Ovens, of course, unfortunately due to COVID, they are not going to do the Festival of Trees this year, but the Coke Ovens just recently was awarded a grant to refurbish the walkway that needs some repairs, and they have just extended and purchased new land. So the Coke Ovens is larger, we'll just say that. 9 acres, right? You know what? Not sure. It's 10 acres to the Coke Ovens, so now it's nearly 20 acres because they just purchased that. And the grant was almost $15,000. Daniel sent me little notes. I'm sorry, guys. We've invested $1.4 million in our water system to create an ability in the system as a whole, to create accountability. And of course, we have our Christmas parade on December 12th at 5 p.m. And if you haven't been to the town of West Blockton, we have a couple of new businesses open on Main Street. We have a hair salon that has gotten, you have to book ahead because she's getting so busy. And then we also, y'all know the new trend now is the nutrition drinks. We have one of those coming in about 3 weeks. So, you know, if you ever see that line for the Jack's, the new one that's beautiful, but you know, you can just zip on through West Blockton and get your nutrition drink. I know Miss Valerie introduced me, but my name is Holly, and my husband and I moved to West Blockton a year ago. In July, I actually lived in McCalla, which is kind of neighboring, and I lived on the Tuscaloosa County side. And the reason my husband and I were moving is because we lived where there was a private sewer company. Does anybody know about private sewer companies? Hey, Mr. Russell, did you know that there was not a cap on what they could charge in the state of Alabama? So for my 1,200 square foot home, my sewer bill a month was $156, raising every month. Because he was private and he could do that. Yes, and not only did he own, and he owned the new Tenny Hill right there, the Tenny Hill Valley Estates, and he also owned in Shelby County. So he did this to different, you know, counties. So we moved, and I'm in school at the university, and I'm getting my master's in social work. And one of my classes, as I was telling Miss Valerie, was making me do research for a town. So I chose the town that I recently moved in, which was West Blockton. I have worked in the child welfare system as a social worker for 15 years. Politics was not my thing. So when I went and I started learning and I started listening in the town council meetings, I decided that, you know, as a job as a social worker is to advocate and to encourage our town people so that we can bring a better tomorrow for our children. And I'm almost 40 years old, I turned 40 at the end of the month, and I have a 2-year-old, and West Blockton is the type of town that I want to live in for a long, long time and for her to grow up in. So I want to better it for my child and for other people's children. So that's what's going on in West Blockton. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Am I forgetting? We're going to have Dwayne in just a minute. Stephanie, do you have anything with probate? Any announcements?
Not really.
Okay.
We're excited about our
You love your new building
yeah,
and the landscaping.
Excited that we're finished with election season. Also, we anticipate another special election coming up since Senator Ward has accepted his position. So, otherwise, we're anxious for our building and parking lot to be finished. Happy to be at work with it then. So,
Good. Thank you. Dwayne, where is he? There he is. Would you come forward and share with us the good things happening in our schools? It's been a strange time, but education goes on and we're flexible and we learn. Thank goodness kids are so flexible.
Thank you. I'm asking Wayne. I've got a few notes myself. Is this good?
Yeah.
All right. First of all, thank you, Valerie and Chamber, for putting this event on and inviting me here tonight to represent the school system. I want to say it again. We want to recognize Mike Oakley for his years of service to the school board, over 20 years to the school board, and we appreciate his service. We did have a small sort of retirement get together for him a month ago. I'm sorry we couldn't invite all of you, but you know, we're, as a school system, we're under, you know, pretty strict expectations for social distancing and COVID awareness and everything. But we did have a good gathering to honor Mike for his service. I want to recognize I do have one board member here, Miss Elaine Jones. She's right here. Raise your hand, Elaine. Thank her for being here. And Mike has already pointed out, we have a new board member coming on, Camille Gibson. And if you were in the other room with us earlier tonight, I know you may find it, you know, hard to believe, It's the first conversation and meeting that Camille and I have ever had. When Mike resigned, it's the way superintendent board relations work. It's completely up to the board members to appoint someone to fill a vacancy. And it's not, the superintendent doesn't really have a say or recommendation or anything in that. Now, certainly, the board members discuss that, and I only heard good things about Camille, but I never really met her and had a conversation. I told people over the last couple of weeks, I wouldn't know if she walked in the room right now, but I've heard great things about her. So we're real excited. Stephanie, I think you're coming over Tuesday to swear Camille in at our December board meetings. We have board meetings on the second Tuesday of every month. So we're excited to have Camille come aboard. Our other board members, Mr. Marsh Moody, couldn't be here tonight. Miss Billy Daly, I actually spoke with her just right before I came over here, but she couldn't make it tonight. I do want to mention also, I want you to keep Mr. Mike McMillan in your thoughts and prayers. Mr. Mike is not doing well, and I think was having some surgery today, in my understanding. But please keep your thoughts and prayers with Mr. Mike, and as he gets better and gets on the mend. Let me start by sharing a little bit of information without any specific request from Valerie or the chamber. I've sort of approached this meeting tonight to answer the questions that I tend to get over the last semester, or at least since school started. Questions about COVID and numbers and enrollment and things of that nature. So I've got a few numbers for you, or some information, just for some perspective of where things are going. And I know you watch the news and you read the papers and you see how things are beginning to ramp up. For the 4 weeks prior to Thanksgiving, in our school system, starting November the 2nd, and each week after that, we had 4 positive cases each week. Now, that doesn't mean 4 this week and 8 the next. As 1 or 2 would roll off of being an active case, of a 10-day isolation, another 1 or 2 would roll on. So we have 4. The first week of November, the second week of November, it was 4. Third week of November, it was 4. There is a new dashboard. If you watch the news, the State Department of Education put out a dashboard that lists each school district's total number of positive cases, whether it's student or employee. It combines them together. So for those first 4 or 5 cycles that dashboard was up, we were at 5 or fewer. So on Friday the 20th, the last day we were in school, we had 4 active cases. Yesterday morning, when I got back to work, we had 17. When I left work just a little over a couple hours ago, we were up to 20 active cases. So we went from 4, an average of 4 a week. We're at 20 now, and so that mirrors what we're reading and seeing in the rest of the state, and I guess Bibb County as well. I don't know if anyone from the hospital could speak to that, but cases are going up, and that's just gives you an idea of where we were. We're averaging approximately 55 students in quarantine a week. As you know, when one person is tested positive, any close contact person has to be quarantined. 6 feet for 15 minutes or longer is the definition of a close contact. We've been averaging about 55 students or employees a week that have been quarantined due to exposure or close contact. Today it was 65, and I know that's just going to go up this week. Now back in October, we were over 140 for 1 or 2 weeks. We had a lot of not a lot, but we had in both of our high schools, we had 3, 4, 5, 6 students in each high school that somehow seemed to affect an average of 15 other students. Students don't socially distance as well, I guess, as adults do, or maybe they do. Maybe that's why we're going up now. But we've seen worse weeks of quarantine than we've been the last month, but the trend is certainly going up. If you didn't know, or if you didn't watch the news, we did have to send all students at West Blockton High School home for remote learning the last week of October and the first week of November. We had 2 weeks there where we had staffing issues. And again, very few positive cases, but it impacted an area of the school that we could not conduct school there. So we did have 2 weeks where just the students at West Blockton High School were sent home for remote learning for 2 weeks. And actually this week, starting yesterday, our first graders at Woodstock are at home due to staffing issues. And that's a common theme, not just for our district, but throughout the state. It has been an issue over the years of finding substitute teachers, but never has it been such had an impact as this year, as not being able to get substitute teachers, lunchroom workers, custodians, and bus drivers even. We're just not able to find the substitutes we need, and that's what generally has tended to close not just our school like West Blockton for 2 weeks, but speak and regularly with superintendents around the state, and it's the same issue. It's usually a staffing issue more than an outbreak or something going on in the community. It's a staffing issue. Nonetheless, though, we've been pleasantly pleased and surprised. If you had told me in early August, before school started, that we would make it to this point without having to shut down the whole system, I would tell you I would be pleasantly surprised, and we have. We started school on August the 18th, meeting every day, 5 days a week, and we didn't have a big impact until the last week of October. And again, that was just based on 1 or 2 positive cases, but that's the kind of impact it can have in the school. So we've been pleasantly surprised, but I will say, based on the numbers, I told a few of you earlier, we've got 3 weeks this week and 2 more weeks until we break for Christmas. And at the rate we're going, I would be shocked if we can make it till December the 18th. Now, I had sort of that same feeling in mid-October. I thought, well, it's getting bad, but the numbers went down. But just looking at the news statewide, our numbers are increasing, and they are in the school system as well. And we are having problems getting substitute teachers. That shortage is statewide. It's just not in our county. As far as enrollment goes, that's an issue that came out yesterday. It was widely reported Dr. Mackey had briefed the state school board last week, and it came out, I guess, in the media over the weekend and yesterday, that statewide, close to 10,000 students fewer attending public schools than last year. Now, we're not that big, but our enrollment has dropped from last year to this year. Last year, our 20-day enrollment after Labor Day was 3,181 last year. This year it's 3,000 and around 52. So we're about 130 students fewer in the school system this year than last year. And that's something that we look at. If you know, student enrollment and average daily attendance is what drives funding. The state funding for each school. So when enrollment drops, that's when we have to call in principals in the spring and say, you're losing a funded unit, a state funded unit. That's not a fun conversation to have. And at 130 students fewer than last year, we're certainly going to have that conversation with a few principals. Just for information purposes, of that 130, statewide, Dr. Mack indicated, and we thought too, that a lot of that would be kindergarten students, that a lot of parents were keeping their 5-year-olds at home in August and not sending them to school. In our district, we're only 18 students fewer in kindergarten. So it's not what, I guess, maybe we expected to see, but we're only 18 students. Of that 130, only 18 of them in kindergarten. And actually, we're only down 13 students in both high schools, 13 total. Bibb County High School and West Blockton High School, their enrollments are right about where they were last year. It's in the upper elementary and middle grades where we're down over 100 students from last year. Now where are these students? It's been a trend over the last several years that more and more parents are choosing homeschooling. Even before COVID happened this year, there's a trend of parents choosing homeschooling. Now, why is that? Well, there are a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is just the availability of technology and internet. More parents are choosing to pick an online academy, and there are 3 in Alabama that one in Athens, Limestone County, one in Eufaula, and I think the other one, there was one in Sumter County, but a lot of parents are choosing that. And there are other reasons, but our numbers are 130 down from last year. For comparison's sake, 5 years ago, we were at 3,400 students, so about 370 students over the last 5 years fewer than 5 years ago. So that's just a little information about our enrollment. Our numbers have been dropping every year, about 50 students over the last 10 years. Yeah, we lost about 500 students over the last 10 years, about 50 a year. This year we're at 130, so almost 3 times as many students did not show back up to school this year. So that, that's a concern. A lot of people ask me, well, where are we on virtual students and students coming to school? We're at 80-20. 80% of all of our students are coming to school and attending school every day, 5 days a week, unless they are sent home for 2 weeks for quarantine. But 80% of our 3,052 students, 80% of those are coming to school every day. 20% are doing virtual learning at home. It means they're staying home, they're not coming to school. They have not been in school since August the 18th, the first day. Of those percentages, and I don't want to bore you with numbers, but that's of the virtual students, of that 20% of all students, half of them are high school students. In the elementary and middle school, about 5 and 6% of those populations are doing virtual learning, and 46% of high school students have chosen virtual. Now, I know I've got at least one teacher in here that I was talking to earlier. We are having the same issue that's happening all over the state, and that we have kids, we have students, we have children whose parents chose to keep them at home and keep them virtual, and we're getting absolutely zero work from them. And we are contacting the parents, and we're saying, what's happening here? We're not getting work from your students. Now, I'll go over some financial numbers, or maybe I'll skip them because I'm going long. But we used our COVID money, and we purchased Chromebooks so that every student in 1st through 12th grade would have a Chromebook. We purchased over 2,200 Chromebooks to go with the 1,400 we already had on hand. and we issued every single student a Chromebook in 1st through the 12th grade, not kindergarten, but we may come back and do kindergarten as well. So we've given the students a Chromebook. Their parents came and picked them up, and they're still not doing virtual assignments. And the governor put out the ABC for Students program where parents could call a number and get a hotspot, and the state had $100 million that would pay for that. We gave that information to parents. We'd sent it out, handouts. It's been on our social media page, call outs, and parents still complain that they don't have, well, I don't have internet, I don't have internet service, and they still haven't called to get the free hotspot. So this is an issue, you know, and I'm not here to talk about, we have tremendous parents throughout our system, every grade level, we have tremendous parents, but there are some out there, for whatever reason, just are not, they're keeping their kids at home, but they're not seeing that they do schoolwork every day, and it's frustrating. It's so frustrating for our teachers. Our teachers have been through an incredibly stressful year, and it's so stressful and frustrating for them. Not only are they overwhelmed with teaching, you know, maybe 15 students here in my classroom, and I've also got, you know, 6, 8, or 10 at home that chose virtual. But then on top of it, you've got kids at home that aren't doing any work. You can't help as a teacher but worry about them. So it's an issue, and it's not just here, it's across the state. And we're working on it, but it's a concern. It's a big concern. As far as COVID funding, we received our share of ESSER funds, COVID relief funds. We used a great deal of that to purchase Chromebooks. I'm not gonna, if you want to talk later, I'll talk to you about the different funds and what they can be used for and how long we have. Some of you have heard and maybe you've read or seen in the papers, there are some coronavirus relief funds that have to be spent by December the 31st. Actually, for us, December 15th, it has to be encumbered or spent. So I've got all of those numbers, but we used a good bit of that to purchase those Chromebooks, and not just Chromebooks, but also warranties for those Chromebooks, because they will, you know, they do get damaged, or whether it's through the fault of a student use or just a malfunctioning device. We spent well over $100,000 in warranties. We've got little bags, they're not backpacks, but bags to put them in, and even today, Wes Lawley asked me and our federal programs director about getting hard case covers for our Chromebooks. The bag that we got for them is padded, and that should work, but he said, these kids, some of them aren't using those, so we're going to spend about $18,000 of coronavirus money to put protective cases over all of our Chromebooks. Other money you've heard, gear fundings for Wi-Fi devices on buses. We did purchase 21 new school buses this year. We've got Wi-Fi on all 21 of those new buses, plus 9 other portable Wi-Fi devices that we can move in, around, and throughout the county. Protectors I told you about. We spent a lot of money on electrostatic sprayers, those things that you hear or see that sprays a fine mist of germicidal. Every school has at least 2 or 3 of those electrostatic backpack sprayers and handheld sprayers, PPE and stuff like that. We have had a lot donated. I want to thank Be Sure for our PPE, masks, gloves, gowns for nurses. Bibb Medical Center made a big donation. Kirk Smith with EMA has made a big donation. Even the State Department of Education procured cloth masks so that we could give every single student 5 masks, washable, reusable masks. I hear now that they're losing some of those, so we'll have to get more. Overtime pay for nurses that have to work late and do the contact tracing and upload and reports to the state. So that's some of the ways we've spent some of our coronavirus relief funding. I mentioned Cahava Medical. You know, we have 2 school-based health clinics, one in Brent School that's open 5 days a week, one at West Blockton Elementary School that's open 5 days a week, and they are providing rapid testing for any student whose parent gives them permission to be tested for coronavirus. And not just that, just the regular, COVID is big this year, but just regular, you know, strep throat and things like that. They can test kids there in the school, write them prescriptions so that by the time a parent picks them up, they can just go and get a prescription. They don't have to go to the emergency care clinic. So that's been a great service for our students and parents and employees. It's available for employees as well. We've got, as far as personnel, we've got a new CSFO that's coming aboard the 1st of January. It seems like we go through CSFOs like, I don't know, like drummers in Spinal Tap or something. But we do have a new CSFO coming aboard the 1st of January. Craig Hodge is coming over from Hale County. We're looking forward to him coming on. Our last CSFO, if you've never met Bob Haygood, just a super great guy, and we really hated to lose Bob, but we knew one day we would, and he would be back closer to his home in Madison, Alabama. Bob took a job in Marshall County. Still talk to him regularly, and he's doing well. But we do have a new CSFO coming aboard, hopefully January the 1st. And I want to thank you for your support. I want to, I know we got our mayors here, your local police departments, the services you provide to our schools locally in Woodstock, West Blockton schools, the Brent schools, Centerville schools. The Sheriff's Department provides a service out at Randolph. Just great support that we get from you, mayors and commission, and help from our law enforcement, things like traffic, ball games during the week and weekend. We appreciate that support. Your utilities in our towns, you know, where we have our schools, and we got, you know, an issue with water or sewer, and your utility workers are just great to come out and get on any issues we have in the schools. So we're really appreciative of that. The commission, the work you do, I know if you didn't see it yourself and get out, just all of the trees that were down during the storm, the county commission, and especially Kirk Smith and Jeff McKinney and others that get out and clear trees out of the road, and even commissioners get out and do that. Your local police department, sheriff's department, they all have chainsaws that get around and get these trees out of the road. We appreciate you so much. I mentioned Kirk Smith with EMA, you know, just his asset to me of discussing weather, whether it's, you know, storm systems or freezing precipitation. Can't thank our local governments enough for the assistance that you give the school system. So I want to express that to all of our mayors and commission tonight. I know I've gone long. If any of you want to talk any more specifics or get into detail or weeds with any of this, feel free to stop me or come by the office and see me. But again, Valerie, thank you for inviting the school board to speak tonight. I want to thank Ms. Jones again for being here, and again, I'm looking forward to Camille coming on board Tuesday night. Thank you all. Y'all have a good evening.
Well, as you look around, you are our elected officials in our county. You took it upon yourselves to think, I want to do this. And again, it's not everyone that is called to run for office. It takes a very strong person to put yourself out there. You win or you lose. And so it's a toss-up, one or the other. We have a new face amongst us tonight. I'd like to ask our Representative Russell Bedsole to come forward and tell us about District 49. He's run a tight race recently, 2 races. So we think your race might be really tight, our neighborhood races. Think of him in his Tri-County area. So Russell, please come tell us what's going on in 49.
Thank you. Mayor White, I agree with you. I don't like the cold weather either, so I've kept my coat on. It's a little chilly, but thank you. And let me start, Valerie, first of all, the Chamber for putting on this event. I think this is a great idea to get everyone together in the same room. And Mayor Oakley, you said it. I think that needs to happen more often. We need to be together. And it's not just about talking, but it's about talking and getting together, but then getting back to action. And I think in your community here in Bibb County that I've just come more acquainted with since the summertime. I think there's so much potential here for this county, and couldn't be more thankful for this opportunity. So the mayors that are here, city council, that's my heart. I was a city councilor in the city of Alabaster for 8 years, and no offense to our county commissioners in the room, but it's the best job ever to be on the city council and serve your city. There is no decision that you make that does not affect you and your neighbors and your family that live in your community more so than being on the council and being the mayor. So my hat's off to you in serving in this time, and what a tremendously challenging time it is. And for you, Dwayne, running the school system, and our teacher that's in the room, you know, if educating our children wasn't already difficult enough, we're doing it in the midst of a global pandemic. And all of those challenges that you mentioned that your school is having to navigate, there are school systems across this country, some that are our neighboring communities in Shelby County, and doing it as well, our local city school systems. I can't say enough about how the teachers on the front lines are there each and every day, knowing they're going into a classroom, potentially going to be infected or exposed to somebody who has COVID, and they're doing it in a way with just such bravery. So thank you for what you do in the classroom. I couldn't be more proud of our teachers that are here, because I believe that we need to push on and push ahead. Our kids need to be in the classroom. Our kids that are staying at home are falling behind, and we don't need that. I don't have to tell you how state of Alabama ranks across the country in terms of our education. We need to have our kids in the classroom and continue to push forward and educate them. So that's my 2 cents on education. So thank you for what you brought forward tonight, and thank you for being a teacher in our classroom. That's awesome. So as Valerie pointed out, I'm the new guy. I'm not native to Bibb County, nor before getting involved to run for House District 49, frankly, did I spend a lot of time in Bibb County. But when the opportunity came before me, and my family and I began weighing the options and praying about this opportunity to serve you, I began to invest a lot of time here in Bibb County. Landmass-wise, this county is the largest portion of District 49. And so I wanted to really understand what Bibb County was from north to south and east to west. And even at times slipping outside the district of those areas that got carved out of District 49, just to really understand what was going on and happening here. And it couldn't have been a better experience. Now for you, it was almost like overnight, kind of like weeds growing on the side of the roads, except they weren't weeds, they were campaign signs. So unfortunately for everyone here in Bibb County, I apologize about the mass amounts of campaign signs that myself and my co-competitors that were facing off in the Republican primary left on the side of your road, and we tried to get them all up, but I'm not telling you there may not be a few campaign signs still available. So your summer was filled with seeing my campaign signs and maybe some of the others, and answering the door as we were campaigning in the midst of a global pandemic, and really trying to get out, and again, going back to what my mission was, is to learn as much as I can about you. And that becomes a little more natural for your mayors and city council. But for someone like me, if I'm going to effectively represent you, it's not about what I want in Montgomery for you. It's not about what my family wants in Montgomery for me. It's truly about what you want for your district and for me to represent you in Montgomery. And I got a really good piece of advice when I was going through the process of trying to decide. I reached out to a representative who has been serving already in the House, and he said, if you remember this, if you remember to always represent your district to Montgomery and never try to represent Montgomery back to your district, the people of your district will be supportive and continue to allow you to serve them. And so I want you to know there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't remember that bit of advice. I remembered it while campaigning, and while I had those conversations with many of you at your door or on the sidewalk or somewhere at an event, the limited events we had, I was always remembering to close my mouth and listen, because it is about how I can represent you in Montgomery. So, as many of you know, I'm not necessarily, don't consider myself a politician by traditional means. 22 years serving my community in law enforcement, and then those 8 years on the council was just another extension in a way that I want to represent this district in the same fashion. So here we are today, roughly, I guess, a couple weeks since we had the general election, where I faced off against my Democrat opponent, and at the strike of midnight after the election, I am your representative. So we got to work really quick because I think it was hinted upon earlier, but I don't know if y'all know this, but there is a prison that is planned to be built in Briarfield. Do we have anybody that lives in Briarfield in the room? Okay, so no one's going to yell at me is what I'm hearing right now. Yeah, so I went down to a community meeting a couple weeks ago in Briarfield, and the people of that community certainly are passionate about the idea of a prison being built there, and I can't say that I blame them at all. If you came to me and said, we're going to build a prison right there in your backyard, I would be concerned as well. So as I conveyed to the people in Briarfield at the meeting, my job is to listen to your concerns and communicate those. Thus far, I've already had one in-person meeting with the Department of Corrections Commissioner, Commissioner Dunn. He was gracious enough to travel here to our area, to the University of Montevallo, because our university officials over at the university were concerned about the prison being closely located to their campus as well. I've had 2 conversations on the phone with members of the governor's staff directly who are working with the idea of this new prison. And then Commissioner Downs and I are traveling to Montgomery. Are we still on? All right, we're still on. We're traveling down to Montgomery on Thursday, and we're going to have another meeting. The idea and point of the meeting is to continue to get information. I want all of y'all to know that the lack of information that you're getting about the prison is the same information I'm getting. We're having to ask a lot of questions about everything from the proposed location, the exact location, and other things like what impact is this going to have on our local court system for crimes committed in the prison. Is there going to be an ask for additional police response from our county sheriff's office? Is Briarfield Fire and Rescue going to have any issues or problems responding to calls for service there if they're called upon? And then at the end of the day, if an inmate needs to be transported by ambulance, do we have ambulance service sufficient enough in our county here to be able to transport those inmates? And they're all very great questions that we need to ask. So we're going to go down and continue to ask those questions and try to learn more about this proposed prison. So I'll start with something good. The idea of this prison site is going to employ about 700 employees. That's 700 additional jobs. I guess you kind of say some of those are awash. I know we have our current prison here over in Brent. Those jobs, anyone who is employed at that prison is going to be offered a job and an opportunity to stay on board. But there will be additional jobs because of the scope and size of the prison. This prison site is going to be a little bit more modern than any of the prison facilities that have been previously constructed in our state. As y'all well know, your prison here in Brent is the newest prison that's been built by the state, but it's got a little bit of age on it at this point. The governor's plan, and let me reemphasize, this plan is completely being directed out of the governor's office. So traditional means would be that the governor would have to come to the state legislature for funding to construct and build a new prison. The governor's plan is a little unique. It has been done in other states. The governor's plan would entail, and it's out there if you care to read the request for proposal, it's on the DOC's website. It has been awarded to a couple different companies to build 3 mega prison sites, and that the developer is in charge or would be responsible for purchasing the land, construction of the facility, and then any maintenance going forward. And in turn, the state will lease that facility for a long-term lease that's been reported to be about a 30-year lease. According to the governor's office officials that I've spoke with, as soon as that lease is signed, it will become for public review. Now, at the point that the lease is signed, then the deal is done. So, you know, we're asking for a little bit more communication out of the governor's office to the people of Bibb County and to the people of Briarfield. At that point, when the lease is signed, it seems to be a little bit tardy, in my opinion. So we hope to get that communicated. Now, the upside, in addition to jobs, would be possible improvements to infrastructure in the Briarfield area, possible purchasing of water from some of our local water sources. Centerville, I think you guys have been in communication or will be, as well as some of the partners outside the county to provide water for that area. So some of the infrastructure areas around Briarfield could possibly be upgraded and assisted for what that's worth and the benefit of the community. And then along with that, because it's a lease, the state wouldn't be directly responsible for the maintenance at that facility. So in theory, under the terms of the lease, as I understand it, that the prison itself, if it needed a new roof, it would be the private owner that would be responsible, not the state of Alabama. The expectation there is that's a cost saving to the state because there's no cost incurred by the state for maintenance. So the devil's in the details, and we continue to hope to get more details about that. But believe it or not, and I know you do, that is the hot topic in your county as far as what's going on. And then the upcoming holiday and Christmas season and the parades and the things we'll get to enjoy here. So we've hit the ground running. I didn't expect when I began campaigning back in the beginning of June or middle May that my first topic would be about a prison in your county. But I have been thrown to the fire, and I'm happy to do so. So I just want everyone to know I'm completely here to represent you, your interest, the entire District 49 area, and as well as those other areas. I know, you know, parts of your city mayor fall into another district, but if there's anything I can do to ever assist you in your city, and I know Mayor Oakley, you as well have areas outside of my district, please feel free to lean on me, and if I can help bridge the gap and communicate in any way for you or for anyone else in the room, I'm happy to do so. So that being said, I'm just again happy to represent everyone here, continue to be a face that you guys will see, and if there's anything I can do for any of y'all, please feel free to reach out to me. So thank you.
Well, I typically forget to say something, so did anyone forget to say something? Anyone have last minute words they need to say? Okay. This was our first meeting for our state of the county. I hope it won't be our last. I hope we can do this again. It's been informative for me. I hope it has been for you. So thank you for coming. We are adjourned, and Merry Christmas.
Wow.
Everybody